A 7-foot tall, 406-pound gorilla smashes his enclosure and escapes? What the heck is going on? Hello, everybody. It's Joe Ditzel back on my bike on October 18th, 2016. Started out as a nice day, but then as the day wore on, rain seemed inevitable, and it did start raining a little bit later in the afternoon than when this video was taking. Folks, come along with me on this bike ride and let me tell you this crazy story about a gorilla escaping the London Zoo. But before we get into all that, how are you doing? I hope everything is good in your world. Hey, do you know who Kumbuka is? Kumbuka is a silverback gorilla that lives in the London Zoo until he escaped. So last week, Kumbuka was being taunted by visitors to his enclosure at the London Zoo. He was behind glass, and apparently he was getting mad at them giving him a hard time. You know how people are, they're crazy. And he suddenly smashed the glass, those thick glass walls of his enclosure, and it broke, and he escaped. But now here's the thing, he didn't escape through the glass. He didn't break the glass and escape through the glass, but somehow he got out. And they're still not 100% sure how he did it. Some say there was like this side door, this private side door, like a utility door that he somehow got through. But now remember, he's 7 feet tall. He's 406 pounds. He knows he can smash through things, bash through things, but they're not really sure how he got out. But he did get out and escape. The whole zoo went into lockdown. Unbelievable. Now, Kumbuka took full advantage of his time free outside the London Zoo because he was sighted all over the city. I mean, the first thing he tried to do, because, see, silverback gorillas are from the lowlands of Africa, and apparently he had a relative who was having a birthday. Now, some officials think this was the main reason for his escape, although he did smash the glass. By the way, they say the glass might have been cracked already, which is why it broke. One official's theory is that he escaped because he had a relative that was having a birthday back home in Africa, and he actually went to a local coffee shop and got on the internet and tried to book a flight. But unfortunately, the birthday was the following day and all the flights were booked, or he couldn't afford the last-minute flight ticket price, so he was unable to get on a plane and go visit his friend or relative. So he was unable to get on a flight and visit his relative in Africa who was having a birthday. So he decided to stay within the city, but he was sighted all over the city because he left the coffee shop and went on to the London Eye, which, if you haven't been to London, is a giant Ferris wheel with full glass enclosed cars, and he was in a car all by himself. Apparently he stood in line, waited his turn, but nobody would get in the car with him, so he just rode all by himself. Now, some people say he was taking pictures of the city. They're not sure where he got the camera. They're asking people, the tourists around there, if they gave him a camera or if he maybe shoplifted one. But apparently he was taking both photos and videos of the city while he was at the top part of the London Eye as his car came over the top. Now, about 3/4 of the way through the ride, he got impatient. He broke through the glass of his car and climbed down the side of the London Eye, which is a huge structure, but of course for him was no problem whatsoever. So really fascinating. They're not sure why, because as far as anyone knows, gorillas don't have religions or follow any kind of organized religion, but Kumbuka went to the Westminster Cathedral and asked to give confession. The height of it, he is so tall though, he's so big. A brave priest agreed to listen to his confession, but unfortunately, Kumbuka couldn't fit inside the confessional. He was too big. So the priest said, look, let's go to the rectory. And he listened to his confession. He forgave him of his sins, whatever those might be. Maybe he felt bad about breaking the glass, who knows. But absolved of his sins, he was happier, he was lighter. People said that he almost had a little bit of swag to his walk as he progressed through the city. Apparently, he's a big football fan. He went to see an Arsenal game, and he sat in the stands of the Arsenal game cheering on his team. Now, the zoo says that there are no video screens in his enclosure, that he would become a fan, that he would be able to watch sports and become a fan of Arsenal, much less any other team. But some people feel like he listens to broadcasts of visitors to the zoo who may have the games on a radio or a small TV or even on their iPad, that he was able to hear the games over the years and became a fan that way. Nobody's really sure. Now, many people are questioning if he was so mad that he was smashing the glass and then somehow escaped through some other route and wasn't able to get the flight to see his relative's birthday in Africa, how come he wasn't aggravated? How come he seemed to be relatively happy as he roamed through the city? Well, many gorilla experts are saying it's just that he sensed and was enjoying his freedom. That's why he didn't attack anybody. That's why there were no incidences outside the zoo where anybody got hurt or killed. But a silverback is a dominant male gorilla. So some people have asked, well, what should we do if this happens again? What if another gorilla that maybe doesn't have the pleasant disposition of Kumbuka on that day, or maybe Kumbuka is in a bad mood on some other day? What do we do if he attacks? A silverback is a dominant male and will defend his turf. Now, his turf was the zoo, but when he's outside the zoo, maybe he thinks of his turf as the entire city. So who knows? Who knows if he was to rush any of the citizens or tourists in London? It's a highly populated international destination. A lot of bad things could have happened. So here's some tips on what to do in case you are attacked or rushed by a silverback gorilla. Now, what they'll do is thump their chest. They'll thump their chest and grunt to try to intimidate you. If they feel threatened, they will charge. They will charge you on all fours, and they can move fast, and they'll go right at you. So what you need to do is get down. Crouch down. You got to get down on the ground. I would just play dead. I would just play dead. I wouldn't even breathe. I would stop breathing. I would hold my breath until he left the area. But that's what you need to do. Show that you're not a threat. This is what's important. This complicates things a little bit because they, much like the grizzly bear in my other video, silverback gorillas will bluff. And again, this is if you're a good poker player where it will come in handy. Also, if you can stand there. So let me explain. Because they will charge at you as fast as they can and at the last minute veer off. They're playing chicken, but they're trying to intimidate you, and they'll bluff. So you need to call on your steely nerves and your poker skills to not run while a 400 plus pound, 7 foot tall silverback gorilla is running at top speed right at your body. You also need to be able to control your bowels, because otherwise you're going to have an accident. Most silverback gorilla charges are bluffs. They don't want to hurt you. And in the case of Kumbuka, it sounds like he was having a good time in the city. He got his confession done, so he was feeling good about himself. He was feeling light. His spirit was light. I don't think you need to worry the next time this might happen. But these are some good tips just in case. Let's be honest. If a gorilla of this size charges at you, there is a possibility, maybe a little possibility, but it's there, that you are going to run like hell. Now, in my case, that possibility is 100% possible. I am not sticking around. They say crouch down, forget it. I'm going to stand up and run like hell. But here's the thing that I need to keep in mind, and you need to keep in mind if you employ this strategy as well. They'll run after you. And when you run, it makes them even madder. Keep that in mind. If you're going to run, you better be very confident in your running skills, because running makes them angrier. And they're going to come after you, my friend. How did it all end? Well, Kumbuka was found trying to goof on the Queen's Guard. Now, those are the classic guards that everybody recognizes with their tall hats and their red jackets that guard Buckingham Palace and the St. James Palace in London. You know, everybody knows them. They've got those red tunics. They wear the big bearskin hats. Well, like many tourists try to do, he was goofing on one of the guards, trying to get him to break. A 7-foot-tall, 400-plus pound gorilla was goofing on one of the guards. He did not break. He kept staring straight ahead. Amazing. But meantime, tourists were looking at this. They're like, wait a minute. This is a real gorilla. This is not somebody in a gorilla suit. They called the London Zoo. Animal specialist came around, shot him with the tranquilizer dart. He was out like a light. They took him back home, and he was last seen lounging in a hammock like nothing happened. Like nothing happened. And some people say when you look close, you can still see in his enclosure the camera that he somehow got a hold of, that he was taking pictures of, the city skyline from the London Eye. That story has not been confirmed. Social media experts from the London Zoo are constantly monitoring social media like Facebook and Twitter, just in case he creates an account and uploads the photos. They want to make sure that that is contained. So folks, a very scary situation in London just last week. So you never know. You got to be careful. Do not taunt these animals. Just observe them and go to lunch. Quit bugging the animals, because the next time it's going to be a bigger animal, a meaner animal, and it's going to end badly. Folks, that's all I've got for now. Until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you then.